Let me begin by saying that about 2 months ago, we issued a statement informing the general public that there's going to be a grace period of 45 days, which we are giving to the currency traders in the foreign exchange market. Of course, we began around November last year, where we started with phase 1, in which we told everyone who is buying and selling dollars on the street in Juba and across our major cities to relocate to designated locations. And for Juba, during that time, we identified 4 locations. That was Konyo, Jebel Market, Customs, and Juba. And then after phase 1, we moved to phase 2, and we issued another statement telling everyone not to stand and be waving heave of currencies. And then that was phase 2, and we saw that those who are selling on the street were no longer standing on the street, of course, without money in their hands. But we knew that there were other funny things that were going on. We could see some boys sitting with their legs crossed, and they are waving around, and we sort of know in our mind, well, it is not a crime for someone to hang around as long as they are not showing us money that they have. And then in phase 3, we said everyone who wants to do business in foreign currency trading should do so by having a license to operate. And the Bank of South Sudan went ahead and revised, outlined, and shared guidelines and regulations. And we then issued forms that are supposed to be picked up from the banking supervision anytime in the morning from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And from that point, we told everyone that we have given you 45 days to register. And of course, for those who might not know, and I'm sure many of you know, there are two levels of currency trading that we thought we have. One are the big formal forex, where the requirements are a bit steep and the expectations are also slightly different. And on the other side are the small or mini forex, where the requirements are very minute in a sense. So we told them, if you are a one-man or a one-lady or 2-person or 5-person shop, what you can do is just aggregate your resources or have an association and register. And we asked them to pay only $1,000. That's for paid up capital. And then for license, it was also something very small, $500. 500 SSP. At the time, it was equivalent to that. So you could just say 500,000, 500 SSP, and which is almost equivalent to $50 or 40 something. So why are we doing that? We came from a premise that says it is not a crime to sell foreign currency, as long as you are doing it within the confine of the laws of this land. And anywhere in the world, if you want to sell foreign currency, you get a license and operate within the law. So we gave them that window, and we also went a step further and said that anybody who is making a living through this endeavor should be treated in a decent way, just like any other person who is engaged in business activity. So that we gave. So you could really say we might have given them about 3 to 4 months in effect when we talk about phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and then now we give them 45 days more. The grace period of 45 days came to an end, or it starts on the 1st of April, which is a few days ago. Now that that grace period has come to an end, we have done everything in our powers as the regulator. We are now saying from today to eternity, if that's the case, it is illegal to sell foreign currency in South Sudan if you don't have a license. Without a license, it is illegal to sell. There are a number of regulations that I have stated in the statement, and I will not highlight them, but just to brief the media and our people that you are welcome to register your company anytime if you have not done so. And if you are operating today without a license, please come to the bank, do your due diligence, go and do your business in a very professional way. Where do we expect people to sell and buy? Not under trees, not next to the cars or bus station, but to do it within premises like any other businesses. So we expect, for example, if someone is selling dollars in Konyo in the midst of the market, they don't have a license. From today, they need to stop. If someone is doing that in customs, in Juba, or in any other supermarkets in Juba, and they have no license, they have to stop. Just to reiterate what I have said here again, selling foreign currency is legal as long as you have the license. And anyone selling, we expect them to have shops or premises where they would be selling. And we are also directing them to display the selling rates and the buying rate. And the key point there that we're adding, which is from a moral suasion, is to say both the customers and the sellers to act like other economic actors out there, which is to ensure that when you sell and buy, even the profits that someone is trying to make should not be that abnormal like the way it has been for the first few years. So what we are advising is that if you are the one buying, look at the daily rate. If you are the one selling, also look at the daily rate. These rates are in reference to a bank rate, which we have on the website of the Bank of South Sudan. There are always rates there. Those are given as guides to both commercial banks, big forex, and the small currency traders. So we encourage for stability to maintain or to prevail, that the spread, the difference between what people are selling and what people are buying, and the rate that we have should really be, the difference should be very small. Why do we say this? From time to time, we see a huge variability. Someone buys at the official rate somewhere, let's say at 130. The same person goes and sells it at 150. That kind of profit margin is too abnormal. We are not holding guns in the heads of people to say it must be 10 or it must be 5, because with pre-market economy, the variability is allowed. But the customers should also be bargaining. If someone's trying to rip you up, Say no, move to the next seller. So finally with this, we are urging everyone, the general public, our partners, the law enforcement agencies, to enforce this policy directive. What does it mean? The bank will reach out to relevant stakeholders by writing to them and sharing with them this. We are doing this within the law of the land. And we are saying from today onward, it is illegal to sell foreign currency on the street or in a shop when you don't have a license. So for anyone who wants to deal in such business, you are not forbidden to do so, but just obtain the license and operate legally like anyone. If you already have the license, continue to operate. If you don't have the license, stop your selling business, come get the license. With regard to those who are only selling or buying, on the side of central bank, there's no qualm about that. If that's the only side of businesses that they've chosen to participate in, then it's not contradicting what we are saying. If they are selling, there's a rate of people that should sell. There's a general rate. You know what we are saying? Every day there's a reference rate based on number of factors. Is that reference rate that we are saying everyone should look at themselves relative to that? So let's say our reference rate is 110. Then when you who is buying, there's a suggested rate also that we have. Let's say it's 110, that's the reference rate. So then for someone selling to a client, they could add 5 on top, to 115. It's just around those. So if they are selling, they look at the reference rate. If they are buying, they look at the reference rate. We are not saying that anybody engaged in foreign currency should do both. They should sell and buy. They can choose. But we know in most places now, those on the street who are selling, usually they have in their hands. They want to sell. And if you buy from them, they eat you, put that in court. For that, we leave it open. If you are a forex, most forex ideally are supposed to be having both. They sell to the public, the dollars that they have, but they can also buy even dollars from the public. It's both. It's not restricted. Now, in how to help clients, for us, it's the transparency. We have introduced the element of transparency by saying that show us how much you are selling, show how much you are buying. So with that, if all the forex or if all the banks have displayed how much they are selling, how much they are buying, then that information should spread instantaneously. And that will even help. You know, in the recent past, we have seen people saying, oh, the dollar rate is this one today. And people just make things up. So, but if the rates are displayed, Mr. Nokodim would know exactly what it says on the board. There's a board that says, oh, if you want to buy, this is how much you are buying. If you want to sell, this is how much you are selling. And these things are just, maybe today it could be, I'm giving the example, could be 130 today. Then tomorrow, you find that is 132. Then the next day, you could even find that is 120. So that variation is allowed because it also depends on the information flowing. But it should not be so much wide different. We are, maybe this question might come a little later, but let me just add it up. All of you have seen in recent days the actions of the law enforcement And first, we issued a statement that said there's too much cash floating around, that cash should go to the bank, and that's normal. Now, a lot of cash has gone to the bank. Of course, much of it that was floating without basis, and that has reduced the rate a bit. We're not having a party. What we are saying is that we have seen some improvement. We have seen the rates dropping. And the same thing is also happening to the product markets, where you see, let's say if the water was £2 yesterday, I'm just giving the example, £2 yesterday, you find that today maybe it's 1.5, just like that. So in this case, our actions are bearing fruit, but we should not be complacent. We should continue to press harder. So in this case now, in most places, like I said earlier, rates are supposed to adjust based on the information and based on the demand and the supply that are there. And even when they adjust, or even when they change, they're different. If all the fundamentals of economic are put into consideration, it should not be that much. So the clients would benefit from the information that they see. For the Kenny, Johnson raised a question regarding, he made a comment. When people stand on the street and they sell, there are many bad things about it. For security reasons, sometimes they sell something that could be fake, and there are cases like that. So for customers themselves, they are robbed up. And even for those who are selling, sometimes they are also at disadvantage. Bad elements would snatch something from their hands. And there are cases where someone tried to exchange. They give you this in your hand and this other hand, and when you look at it, you go to your car, you look at it, it's something else. The amount is not there even. And it has, I'm sure, how many of you have not been cheated? Show your hand. Or how many of you have been? Please show your hand. Yes. So when the boys that are selling are decent human beings. They are doing that. But sometimes the human avarice, human biases, they come in. And so you find someone, you say, it used to be the case when it was, this thing happened several times. Whether it was when it was 50 or 80, someone says, how much is it? 75. And then they go and count, and they give it to you. And you are happy that you got your thing. You put it in your pocket or you go to your car. In the next minute, something tells you, why don't you check? When you count, it's not there. Or you come with a clean dollar bill. They take it, they look at it, they say, this one is, we will pay you this. They will debate with you. To say, no, we'll give you 70. Then you say, no, I need 80. They say, if this is too much, you take it back. And when you take it back, you find that it's not the one that you have brought. It is something else. So they switch. So these are some of the challenges that the members of the public used to face, and maybe they continue to face today. But the other issue is the image. We keep asking a rhetorical question. Even though informal market exists in most places, let me qualify that. Depending on the level of development of a country, one can say definitely there's no black market in the US, right? It's not there. Or in Europe, it's not there. So there are certain areas where you find this variation. And one of it has to do with economic and level of development. So, but we're not comparing those. What we are saying is that just look in the region. If you go to Nairobi town, you find that there are shops of forex with sign and the rate, they are even moving. You see it exactly. You go there, you want to exchange, they say, okay, if you are traveling, they say, bring your ID or bring your passport. Give them your passport. The lady press the button, they scan it. They get your copy. They change, give you the receipt. You go. You go to the airport, you find the same thing. So we are saying, why can't we in South Sudan be like those countries? Even if we are coming from Bern, we have to run to catch up. So this is one of those. So we are saying for image of our country, what used to happen on the street is not acceptable. We know it as a human convention that's not acceptable. We also know that our laws do not allow that. Why is it the case that in most countries, if you bring a foreign currency, euro, yen, or whatever, you don't use it directly. You go and exchange, get the currency of your home or your country, come and use it to command and consume, and keep that foreign currency. I think part of it has to do with abuse. What people do with that currency, they can do other crazy things about it. And so, for the security of the people, for the security of the country, it is regulated. So regulation of foreign currency is not a bad thing. It is to protect people. It is to protect the image of the country. So if someone likes to stand on the street and be waving and selling, now we are saying it has to stop. You can sell in the shop when you have a license. If you don't have a license, don't do so. On the case of penalties, we'll not get there. This is not the role of the central bank to talk about penalties. What we know is that the law enforcement agencies will follow the law, and they will deal with those who are in non-compliant. The last part here is that on what monetary policy mechanisms are we putting in place to ensure that the public is safe, or there is the availability of the foreign currency. That is an ongoing concern. Let me put it this way: it's a policy, is a standing policy of any government to ensure that there's always the supply and demand. There's a supply aspect of thing, and there's a demand aspect of thing. And as the government, we know where we work hard to ensure that we get foreign currency. For now, of course, we are trying to realize something small from the border. But you also know that as a country, there's another place where we get hard currency, and that has to be well managed. What we said last week is that we continue to mobilize additional currency to ensure that the market is saved, and will continue to do so. On who will impose this directive, we think that in this country there are different levels of government. There's the national, there's the state, and there's the local. And all of them are involved in the law enforcement aspect of things. That we know. So therefore, what we have in mind as a bank, they will all be involved. Take, for example, the police at the national level will be involved. At the state level, we have the city council. They will be involved. There are other things that are also related to the security of the country, because currency is one of those. We'll also reach out to the security. So all levels of government will be involved. What we would ensure is for them also to comply with the laws of their land, the laws that govern them. And if there are those who act outside the law, we will discourage that as the bank. But we also think that there are other jurisdictions that will deal with those who also extort or become lawless when they are executing. So simply what we are saying is that we will make use of all the law enforcement agencies in the country. We will inform them, and they will act within the confine of what regulate them. In terms of the question regarding the new currency plotting, the central bank has not issued, I want to make it clear today, we have not sent, we have not discussed, we have not initiated any changes to currency. So what you are seeing there is fake news. There's no way that a country can run out of cash. We have never said that. During the press conference, and if this is what you are referring to, three of us, the two ministers and myself, indicated very clear that there's a fiscal crisis, but it's not running out of cash. As a country, we have cash. It's just that one source of revenue has been affected, and that has fiscal implication and also monetary implication. Fiscal implication meaning that the Minister of Finance was unable to generate enough to pay salaries. And as a result, the bank did not have enough foreign currency to conduct monetary policy. So this is just a clarity to say that maybe it was a misunderstanding that we have said we have run out of cash. Nothing like that. Now, it's true, from time to time, all the governments all over the world go around sourcing funding. And so we have done that, and we have mobilized some resources. That's why last week, for example, the ministry was able to pay salaries, and we are able also to intervene in the market. In terms of which countries, I will not disclose that. Thank you. On this one, the process to obtain license is very simple. Of course, from the Department of Banking Supervision. So if someone wants to get a license, I think they have all their other paperwork from, they have paperwork from justice and tax, and then what they do, they put everything together and they write to the bank that we would like to obtain a license. Okay, just this is a simple process. So it could come direct to the governor, then I will pass it down to the first deputy to process. Then he will pass it down to the Director General for Banking Supervision, and of course it will go to the relevant unit. Now there are checklists. For example, just an example. The shareholders, how much share they have got, the required amount of capital, their other licenses, if they have a website, if they have a premise, and so on and so on. So there are a number of things that that have to be ticked. One that is done, then the team will write back to the governor saying, this company has done all that's needed, and we're going to issue a license. So they will just write a license, the license will come, I will sign, and then you come and pick it up. It's in the upward direction. And as he has indicated, the limits are one thing, but we are encouraging the public to take to electronic payment system, because that's one way for us to reduce this cash that we are seeing out in the economy. With this, I come to an end by saying that I wanted to thank all of you, staff of the bank, and all the media houses, and all the individuals that have come to listen to us this afternoon. Let us inform the public that from today onward, it is illegal in South Sudan to sell foreign currency if you do not have a license. Thank you very much.